Welcome to another great show. We have another great guest. We have Cindy Gilbert with us today. Thank you, Cindy, for coming on. Cindy, I keep saying Sydney.
That's okay. It's, you know, that D and that N, you can twist it around.
I appreciate you coming on, though.
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the business? Who do you serve?
Yeah.
What got you into the business?
Great. So I have been an agent for about a year and a half in California.
Okay.
And I've been in Arizona for a full year now.
Okay.
July 31st, it was the hottest day of the year last year. And we moved ourselves in, and it was crazy, but we loved it, and we love Arizona.
Right.
I wasn't going to get my license again in Arizona. I was like, no, I'm just going to be on Easy Street. I'll just be mom, wife, grandma. Like, that's it. Then I realized the days are really long if you don't have something really interesting to do.
Right.
So all my kids are grown up, and I do have two beautiful grandsons back in California. Okay. So I do like to keep myself available, a little footloose, fancy-free, so I can slip back and be with them and babysit. But I did decide to get my license maybe January, and I got it in March, finished it, and interviewed a couple places, and I loved HomeSmart. Okay. And specifically, I love Martha. She's my mentor, and she's just a great little tool to have in my pocket, because I know that anything that gets thrown at me, Martha's got the answer. So it gives me a lot of confidence.
I appreciate that. You know, one of the things that I talk with a lot of newer agents that come on, and one of the struggles they struggle with is just, I don't know enough, or I don't feel comfortable with how I'm going to answer those questions. But having someone, you know, that you can lean upon just helps out with that. So
yes, absolutely. And I think that a really great piece of advice that she gave me was just come in the office. Just keep coming in the office. Because you learn so much by just what other agents are saying their problems are, their successes are. I feel so comfortable to ask people questions, and maybe too much so. But I think that's the best way to learn, you know, and just as simple as, hey, if another agent asks me to open a door for them, do I charge them? And what is that usually? And how do they pay me? And so we had just had that conversation in the office, and lo and behold, somebody did call me, and they're like, hey, can you open a couple doors for me? And I said, absolutely I can, and this is what I charge. And I could say it with confidence. Right. Of course, he had been on a team, so he didn't really even know the going rate. And so he's like, I think I asked for $50, which is not much. Right. He's like, well, I was thinking, what about 25? But if they go under contract, I'll give you 100. I was like, sure, why not? What do I got to lose? So sure enough, they went under contract. And I told them, I said, you know what? God blesses what I put my hand to. So I'll just be expecting that 150 in my Venmo, and this is what it looks like. So that's been fun. But going back to just coming into the office all the time, doing classes, meeting with Martha, and then just hearing what the problems are and hearing what their answers are, it's really helpful. And it does give me that confidence to just keep going forward.
Makes sense. So coming from California, you're out there for a year with your license as well, for a year. So I guess I'm wondering, like, what got you into the industry in general? Like, what made you want to choose this as a career path?
So I was actually director of operations for a wedding venue. Okay. And I really hadn't worked my whole married life. I graduated from ASU though, and so did my husband, and I was an ASU cheerleader, and I still feel like I'm a cheerleader. Like, I just love to encourage people. I love to learn about people. I love to just only say positive things to people. Like, I'm not really good at bad news. But after the kids started growing up, I was like, you know what, I really do want to do something. So I called a real estate friend, and I was like, hey, Connie, I don't have my license, but I've always been intrigued. Could I maybe be your assistant? And she's like, oh, I have an assistant, and you really should get your license anyways, because that is the best assistant. And I was like, too much time. And she's like, but I do know this really great lady, Karen. She would love to meet you. Just call her, just see. So that got me off of the real estate road, and it got me into the wedding industry. And I was in sales, and then I was office manager, and then I was director of operations. So I was over all of the wedding coordinators, which was great. I loved them, but weddings are high drama. High drama. So what did I do? I jumped out of the frying pan into the fire, into real estate, which is also highly emotional, but also beautiful. I love homes. I love helping people find homes. So anyways, after about 3 years as director of operations for Trademark Venues is actually what it's called. It still is in California. One night, my husband and I were in the backyard. We live actually in Escondido. Okay. Raised our kids in Poway, and then we moved up to Escondido when they were done with school. I was like, what am I waiting for? I should just do it, like, right? I should just probably do it, right? He's like, sure. So we literally took the laptop into the backyard, found a school, signed up, and it just, one step just kept going into another, and it was obviously I was only doing it at nighttime because I was still working during the day. And then I just took the tests and I passed it, and I did jump ship way too soon because California is not nearly as organized as Arizona. Arizona, you pass the test, bam, you get your license. I mean, maybe there's a 2-day delay, but so I passed my test. I'm so excited. I've already talked to somebody. I joined this team, and then crickets. Like, I'm not getting my license. I just week after week after week. And when you're used to a paycheck, it's like payday after payday after. I was like, why did I give my notice so soon? But you know, I think things always do work out for a reason. And during that period of me putting in my notice until I actually got my license mailed to me, actually my husband's brother got very sick, and it brought us back to Arizona. And that's kind of how we started thinking maybe we do want to come back to Arizona. And California getting a little bit weird, and I don't want to get all political or whatever, but California was getting to be kind of a scary place. And we just kind of looked at it as an opportunity to come back to Arizona, come back to our roots, come back to great prices.
Right.
So that's what we did. And but before we did that, I did get my license in California. And of course, lo and behold, I became director of operations for that team. There's just something about me apparently that says director of operations. I don't know if I'm pushy or organized, or I don't know what it is. But anyways, director of operations for that team. So I didn't do a whole lot of independent real estate agent on my own for a couple, maybe even just 6 weeks, until they asked me if I would take on that role. And I was pretty excited about having a steady paycheck again. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, because I can do that and have my boots on the ground and continue to be in the real estate business, still have my own license. I can still list somebody's property, which I did, and sold my house, which we did, and so thankful to be able to get those commissions back in my pocket.
Right, makes sense. Okay. I guess in the transition that you've made over here, you're here, you're doing your thing. What do you find your biggest challenges right here in the market?
I think my biggest challenge is having those groups of people that are being like, oh my gosh, Cindy, you're a real estate agent? Okay. Great, because I don't really have those groups. You know, we've only been here a year. We have a great church, but it's all the way in Phoenix, so it's not really my niche neighborhood, which is Verrado. Okay. We chose Verrado. We are in love with Verrado, and I can't say enough about Verrado. I think the whole world should move to Verrado. It's beautiful. It's just. I think it's the American dream. That's to me when I think of what's the great neighborhood. It's Verrado. So we don't have the small group connections. You know, I got back on Facebook and letting my high school and college friends know that I'm here. But that's probably the biggest thing, is I just haven't been here long enough. And, you know, really understanding the markets in some of the areas, you know, like, you know, Goodyear versus Avondale, or, you know, Chandler versus Mesa or Gilbert, things like that. So I put myself out there all the time. I love to go to open houses. I'm hosting an open house tomorrow, actually, in Glendale for 380. And so just, you know, just making sure that I know enough so that I can help those clients, and then people knowing me well enough to know that I can help them.
Makes
so
sense.
I've got time.
That's definitely a challenge. That's it's a hurdle to jump. This is a relationship, a business, and so that definitely is. So I guess how what are you finding your success at? Where are you finding that? Where are you finding your happiness in the market? Where's that coming from?
Every time I come in, I definitely learn something, and I always think that was worth my time coming in. It could be just something as small as me sitting there and Lucia coming up and saying, hey, do you want to do an open house? And you can brand your flyers, and buyers come in without an agent, they can be yours. And that's very generous, I feel like, of another agent to do that for you. Or Martha reminding me to get my postcards ordered, or just things like that. Just always trying to take a step forward and not beating myself up that I didn't go a mile. I'm, one step closer today than I was yesterday of being the expert that I want to be.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you get to read much?
I don't read a ton, but when I go to California, what I recently started doing was listening to books on audio.
Yeah.
So fun. But I realize I'm not a great driver when I do that. 'Cause I'm definitely in another world. It's like, so I told my husband on the way home, usually we go together, but this last time I did go out and babysit the grandkids. And on the way home, I was like, definitely almost got over on another car, pulled into a gas station, just acted like an idiot, just because I was so into the story. And I was like, I just need to turn this off while I'm got to concentrate for a little bit. But were you going to ask me what books I've read lately?
Like what's I'm just wondering, what do you typically go back to, or what is something you find yourself reading often?
Yeah. So I have a couple books going right now. I just finished Into the Nightingale.
Okay.
Which, did you read that?
I haven't, but I heard of that one, yes.
It's really
so
good.
Many books out there.
Yeah. It's really good, and it's about, two women, sisters actually going through World War II, and they're in France. And when you listen to the audio, you just feel so connected to them. I mean, you can hear their little accents, and but then sometimes I feel like some of the things that we're going through right now, people definitely equate to, that this could be a dangerous and slippery slope that the United States finds itself on. So there was a lot of parallels. So it was very meaningful and powerful. I did listen to Green Lights with Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, you haven't? That's fun because he actually reads it. And so you get to hear his attitude, his accent, and his stories of his life. I thought that was a lot of fun. So I listened to that on the way out, which is frivolous and fun and a no-brainer of just fluff. And then on the way home is The Nightingale, and The Nightingale is like 14 hours. So I would listen to it when I'd go on walks and stuff. It was like, you can't wait to get time to do something like that, So it was one of those good books. And I read the Bible every day. I like to read a Proverbs a day. Unfortunately, I probably spend way too much time checking my Instagram before I get to my Bible. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Lord, I have 2 minutes that I can spend. So that doesn't feel great. But God's like, I love you anyway, Cindy. So we go with it.
I feel you on that. I think many of us fall into that. Just gotta get distracted doing our things.
So that's so easy.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Your children, if I were able to interview them and ask them, what is something your mom always harped on growing up? What would that be? What is something that you felt like you wanted to instill in them?
That is a great question. We have 4 children. We have Miles is 30, and then Amy is 28, and then Callie is 26. She just turned 26, and my Jake is 22. And we are a tight family. Like, they love to be with us. And my husband and I pinch each other all the time. We're like, we did something great, because our kids love to be with us. Like, anytime it's a holiday, anytime it's a vacation, we're just together. And I feel like that means we did something right. I don't exactly know what it was. I think it's that we gave them the freedom to make some choices and still love them when they picked poorly. But they actually have all been a very successful group of kids. So what do they think Mom harped on? They probably would only say nice things about me because they're very nice people. But they make fun of me for sure. Like, they'll make fun of me for killing a joke. Like, I'll think, whatever they said was funny, and I try to add to it. And they're like, "Oh, Mom,"
Mommed it up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the joke killer at our house. So, I don't think that our kids think that we probably get onto them too much about anything. They're a pretty good group of kids.
I think what you said is important. My wife and I, we stress about that a lot too. It's like, and these kids are moving on, getting ready to move on, and will they want to come back? You know, have we done those things right? So yeah, that's important.
I'm sure if you've had that thought, you've been doing the right things, you know, because you're thinking it
Right.
already. Yeah.
Definitely hope so.
Yeah,
Sure.
and just giving them that freedom, like, you know, hey, Thanksgiving at our house. And, you know, there's been a couple times where they've needed to go and be with, you know, the in-laws or whatever. That's great. We'll see you then at Christmas. You know,
See you.
so I think that just loving them and giving them that freedom kind of just makes them want to just continue to come back home.
I appreciate that. I will take that to heart. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything you feel like you would like to maybe redo, or you wish you hadn't done, or
Like a big giant do-over in life?
a little do-over? It could be big or little.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe start this career earlier. Yeah,
okay.
that would have been really good. Although, you know, I was always home with our kids, which meant that I was always available, you know, for the field trips or the whatevers. And so I wouldn't really want to have given that up. But yeah, and sometimes I do think, gosh, I wonder if I would have loved working like in a hospital or something like that. But it's probably just the TV shows that just make it look so fun. Like, look, you could just have all these friends around you all day long, and you just like, you have these little inside jokes, there's drama going on, and you're helping people. But I don't really know that I would have been a very good nurse, so.
You know, my wife is in the medical field, and with her being in the medical field, it dawned on me that there's incompetence everywhere. And you hate to think of it in that, but if it's there, then it's everywhere, right? I'm like, wow, there's incompetent and lazy people in medicine. So, yeah, so, you know, who knows what that would have been like for you.
Well, what about that Dr. Death? Is that what it's called? That new movie coming out?
I haven't heard of it
Dr.
yet.
Death. But it's about a doctor, my daughter told me, a doctor who is incompetent. And he never even got his medical degree. And I think he killed people for sure, but definitely like maimed them. It's a real story. And anyways, I guess they're making it into a movie.
It really happens. You hate to think of it that way, but yeah, so there's wherever they are, yeah, for sure. So just thinking about your past and things that you've done, what do you think you're most proud of?
My marriage.
Okay, what about that?
Yeah. Well, we're high school sweethearts.
Yeah, that's
That's
a big deal.
That's a big deal. Yeah. He broke my heart in high school. I broke his in college. So we were even by the time we made it to the altar. I just think well, we are a gift to each other. Like I really do still light up when he walks in the room. He really does take great care of me and the kids. And they're not kids, they're grown-ups. But I can see it in our kids' eyes when they see us talking to each other or whatever. I know it gives them peace, and I think that that's one of the great things marriage can give your children is just like, wow, mom and dad love each other, and this is a great place to be. So yeah, I'm definitely proud of our marriage, and he cooks dinner for me every night, so I'm definitely not letting that go. But he's a good guy, and you know, I met him when I was 14, and I knew. At 14, I said, God, that's the guy I want to marry. So God said, okay, hold on a little bit. That's why time we get you through college.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, so it's good.
Thank you. That's cool. Just sharing that little bit, I appreciate that. Just gives a little hope that, you know, the kids are thinking that stuff as well too. You know, it's just one of those things you don't think about as a kid, and then, you know, because I didn't have that growing up, so I didn't really think about it in terms of that's a safety for a child. It's just life. It's something to aspire to. But having children and understanding, you know, they really do hold on to, well, mom or dad will be there when I get home. And so, yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you coming on. I had a great discussion with you. I've learned some things. Thank you so much. Where can the audience find you at? Email, cell phone? Where's that at?
858-518-4058. I do have a website. It's www.cindygilbertrealtor.com.
Okay.
And that's a good starting place. You can find me there.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.